In Section 2, we will discuss disability etiquette so everyone in our communities has the knowledge and confidence to interact comfortably with people who happen to have disabilities. We will also discuss what an accessible environment is so we can be sure our parishes and schools are truly accessible. This does not mean we are creating special things for special people, but rather we are creating environments that are universally designed so everyone can comfortably use our archdiocesan, parish, and school buildings. Let's begin Section 2 with disability etiquette. Please refer to the handout, Know Your Disability Etiquette, for helpful information on this topic. Some of the ways you can appropriately interact with people who happen to have disabilities are: when you see a person who happens to have a disability in your school or parish, greet them as you greet others. For some people, this means overcoming the tendency to turn away or ignore the person. We will talk more about this later. Speak directly to the person. If the person happens to have a trained service dog, don't distract the dog from working by interacting with it. Sit at eye level when conversing with a person in a wheelchair. Ask before helping and wait for instructions. If a person has difficulty speaking, allow extra time for a response and avoid speaking for the person. Finally, use people-first language, which is very important to many people and happens to be our next slide. When writing, preaching, or speaking about people who happen to have disabilities, words should be chosen with care. Remember, refer to the person first. Say, a man who uses a wheelchair, not a wheelchair-bound man. Never use the word handicapped, as it connotes begging with cap in hand as the only occupation for people with disabilities. Say accessible parking, not handicapped parking. Say accessible seating area, not handicapped section. Never use the term mentally retarded. The acceptable terms are intellectual disability or cognitive disability. When we change our everyday language, we change our culture. We can create a culture of dignity and respect for people who happen to have disabilities with our language. In the second part of Section 2, Know the Basics, we will discuss accessibility. It is so important we all understand what accessibility truly means, so we can provide buildings that are accessible for all events in our pastoral centers, parishes, and schools. What are the features of an accessible environment? Access symbols for several accessible features are shown on this slide. Please pause the video now and take a few moments to think about the features of an accessible environment that you are aware of. Now let's list the features that make your building accessible, starting from the parking lot. Remember, we want to ensure a barrier-free path to meeting spaces. Accessible parking spaces come to mind first, but make sure they are close to accessible entrances. Curb cuts. Are you familiar with what curb cuts are? They are areas that are completely flat to provide a smooth transition for wheelchairs and walkers from the street or parking lot to the sidewalk. Exterior walkways that are well lit and free of obstacles, such as planters or overgrown bushes. Ramps. Ramps should have side curbs or railings on both sides of at least a 36-inch wide non-slip surface that slopes as close as possible to 1/2 inch of rise for every 12 inches of run. Consult with a person using a wheelchair or a walker to make sure your ramp is not too steep. Automatic door openers with easy-to-reach buttons. No stairs. It is often overlooked that even a 1-inch step makes a meeting space inaccessible for people who use wheelchairs. Accessible restrooms. Make sure they are clearly marked and near the meeting space. Signage with access symbols call attention to accessible entrances, ramps, parking, and washrooms to let people know of your accessible features. People with disabilities and their families look for these signs. Placing them in your ads in local newspapers is a good idea too. A good quality sound system. Accommodations, such as sign language interpreters, large print materials, and assistive listening devices or audio loops, are also part of an accessible environment. Ask your congregation or students what accommodations are needed. Our Survey of Needs handout can help with this. Also, when advertising events, give contact information to request accommodations. Finally, a welcoming attitude is an important component of an accessible environment. Remain open to requests for accommodations, and remember, people who happen to have a disability, like all people, should be treated with dignity and respect. Here are photos of some of the accessible features we just named: accessible parking places, a curb cut, exterior walkways that are well lit and free of obstacles leading to a ramp with a gradual incline, automatic door openers, an accessible washroom stall, and signage publicizing accessible features. More detailed information about access features, such as dimensions of accessible parking places, is on our website and in our handouts, Universal Design, Design for All, and the Facilities Survey. You will also find more information in our video, Open Hearts, Open Minds, Open Doors. All handouts and videos are available free on our website. Team Belong grants helped fund all of these access projects in parishes and schools. Other access features include interior ramps and canopied passenger drop-off areas. A canopied drop-off area provides a safe and protected spot, especially during inclement weather, for individuals who use walkers and wheelchairs to enter a building. In the worship setting, a height-adjustable ambo with an offset base designed to accommodate wheelchair footplates, a ramp to the altar, pew cutouts for wheelchairs, and an accessible seating area allow everyone to participate. Pictured here are accommodations that can be provided: assistive listening devices, sign language interpreters, and large print worship aids. Also pictured are Braille materials. The Xavier Society for the Blind provides free Braille Sunday Mass propers and other materials for qualified individuals. A parish used our survey of needs and discovered higher chairs with armrests were needed for parishioners who found it difficult to rise to stand during liturgies. Adapted altar server training and railings to the altar are other accommodations that can be provided. The following school or faith formation program accommodations create learning environments where everyone belongs. A height-adjustable table allows students who use wheelchairs to sit with their peers. A communication device allows a student with Down syndrome to answer questions in class. C-Pen readers and computer programs support student reading skills. An adaptive faith formation curriculum allows children of all abilities to learn together with their peers in the same classroom. And timers, workbooks, and diagnostic tests help students develop executive functioning skills. All of these accommodations have been supported by Team Belong Award grants. In Section 2, Know the Basics, we discussed the importance of disability etiquette and people first language and understanding and providing accessible environments so people of all abilities know they belong. This concludes Section 2 of the video training. Please continue to Section 3, From Inclusion to Belonging. Also, please be sure to check the Team Belong page for useful resources and references.